All right. Big Frank's League of Men. I am here with another one of the Mount Rushmores, I believe, of the heads on Mount Rushmore of Big Frank's League of Men. Dan Jarman and Wright Stuff. What's going on, buddy? How are you doing?
How's it going? Great to be here. One
Man,
day of baseball, wire to wire. We're in for a marathon, but today was a great day to get things going.
yeah, I think this year, it's just so much more exciting to watch baseball right now, because we haven't had like real baseball and there were like fans in the stands today. It just felt a little bit different.
Absolutely. Heading in the right direction for sure.
Yeah.
That roar of the crowd sound, not seeing cardboard cutouts in the stands. That's what makes you feel good about the season.
So you feel good about the season. How bummed were you this morning when you turned on and saw COVID delay for at least 2 games?
I was pretty devastated. You wait a long time for this moment. There's a lot of hype with opening day. Especially there's a lot of hype when you add in your own fantasy baseball league into the mix. So, I was pretty bummed. I mean, I was looking forward to seeing DeGrom. I was looking forward to seeing my first round draft pick throw a gem. And, of course, I was looking forward to seeing our $341 million star start his career in Queens. So I was pretty disappointed, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a tough, but time will come and you will get back to Mets glory. I think it's going to be hopefully like an amazing year. And for you, is that how you got kind of your love for baseball? Did it start with the Mets as you were a kid? Like, kind of what did that look like for you? Like, how did you get really involved in baseball? How'd you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, I can remember that like it was yesterday. My dad worked for a company that worked for the Mets, and he did a lot of advertising and marketing for them. And he worked for Nikon, so there was always like the Nikon player of the game. And I'll never forget going to Shea Stadium my first time. It was in '97. My first game was April 12th, '97. That was opening day at Shea Stadium. I got my gloves signed by Rico Bronya, Jose Vizcaino. I met Todd Hundley. Some of like big names back in the day for the Mets, and it really just clicked. I just never really lost that fire. I always enjoyed watching the Mets. There was obviously more, unfortunate times than good times, but they just keep bringing you back for more. There's always that glimmer of hope in April, and it was just fun to watch. I just was always locked in. I used to play baseball at Tri Village in Green Lawn back in the day. There's nothing better than a beautiful summer night playing baseball with your friends, crushing like a blue crushed Gatorade or a nice like hot dog or something like that. It was something I always fell in love with, and I'm still glad that like to this day I still feel the same way.
Yeah, no, for sure. And two questions on what you mentioned about the inception of Dan Jarman's baseball love. First and foremost, what position were you? What was your like highlight reel moment as a kid?
I was everywhere. I played pitcher, first base, and center field. I think pitching in an all-star game at Tri Village was one of my highlights. To me, that was a big deal. I felt that I was good, but I knew I wasn't one of the best players. So feeling that I had made it to that specific level was a big deal to me. I always just loved playing baseball. I didn't really need to play at a competitive level. I didn't play high school baseball. I always played, like I said, with Tri Village or backyard baseball or even wiffle ball. I just love being able to go out there and just have fun. And I'd have some fond moments on the diamond for sure.
For sure. Probably some epic Widmer backyard wiffle ball games that ended in blood, sweat, and tears, I'm sure.
For sure, yeah.
And then, Mets. Favorite Met all time. Who is it? Who's the guy as you think of your passion for the team?
I'm going to go with Carlos Delgado. A lot of people don't really, I think, mention him in a conversation of like best first baseman. Carlos Delgado, I just remember always just played the game so well. I felt like he was always smacking homers, always doing the right thing. I was kind of bummed that he was not the person at the plate in the 2006 NLCS when Beltran struck out looking. I know Delgado was on deck, and I just had a feeling that if he was at the plate, he would have gotten the job done. I felt like he always played the game with a smile. I know there was a little controversy with him. He didn't stand for the national anthem. There was an issue in Toronto with that, and then of course coming over to New York. But I always loved Delgado. I never really, hopped on the bandwagon with like David Wright and Jose Reyes. I liked them, no doubt.
Yeah.
But everyone liked David Wright. Everyone liked Jose Reyes at the time. So I was kind of looking to go somewhere else, and I just fell in love with Delgado. Always appreciated his game. So I'm a big Delgado fan.
Awesome. No, that's such a solid pick. Not, I wouldn't say off the beaten path, but just like a solid guy. And you kind of think of those staples of when the Mets were really, really kind of in that sweet spot in those 2000s. So I love that. From fantasy to, I keep saying this, from fantasy to reality, or from reality to fantasy. Let's move over to that side. Now, the only league manager that has 2 rings. What's the secret sauce? Like what gets you to that position? What puts you in a position to be able to win on the big stage 2 times where no one's been able to do it?
I think you just got to be in the right place at the right time. I'm in a league with, at the time, 9 other guys. Now this year, 11 other guys who are so savvy. They know the game of baseball. You're not in this league just to be in a fantasy baseball league. You're in this league because you love baseball. You love competing. And you think that you're the best manager. You think that you can go, from April to October and put together the best squad possible. I was fortunate. I was able to catch some lucky breaks. You need to have a healthy team first and foremost. You need to be on the waiver wire. You need to acquire a couple good trades here and there. But you just need to be smart. You need to be watching baseball. You need to be paying attention in the game. You can't have those moments where, like, oh, I left a guy on my bench. He had a homer, had 3 RBIs, or a pitcher who went 7 strong, 8 Ks and like a 1.5 ERA or something like that. You can't have those moments. And the more all in that you are on your team, the more you're going to get out of it. So, and I faced off against some pretty good competition. The first year I faced off against Chuck. You all know Chuck's, story here. He's one of the most decorated managers we have. I faced off against Frank. I've had some battles with you in the postseason. So, like, I'm not just going up against guys who just can't get it done, or they're just lucky. I mean, I'm going up against the cream of the crop here. So, it's not easy. You have to be on your game at all times. There's a reason why we haven't had a back-to-back champion. But I'm definitely, fired up and eager to win my 3rd ring for sure.
No, I love that. And, COVID year, had a year off. What are you most excited about as you get back in the rhythm, as you start getting back into fantasy baseball, as you're doing this back? What excites you the most about getting back into the season? What do you think you're going to get most focused in on as you think about this season?
Besides winning a 3rd ring, I think I'm most looking forward to watching baseball at 1:00 on a Sunday afternoon, knowing I need a few categories, I need a few big at-bats or a few strong innings from a pitcher. I love the fact that there's a 32 innings pitch limit. It makes it a lot more difficult. You have to be streaming the waiver wire. You have to be watching those matchups. You have to find those players that you wouldn't normally have on your team, but you'd pick up for an outing. And I think there's less rope for your offensive players. I think you need guys that are going to be consistently putting together a string of games that are going to be producing at high numbers for you. I don't know how much rope I can give a guy that may steal me a lot of bases this year, but if he doesn't get the job done at the plate and he's killing my OBP and not getting hits or not getting me runs or RBIs, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep him on my squad. So I'm just looking forward to, the competition. I'm looking forward to just, sweating it out. Hopefully having more 9-3, 8-4 victories than 6-5 victories or
Yep.
losing, of course. But, I'm just watching every moment. I feel like you can't take your eye off the prize at all. The minute you do that, there's gonna be another manager that's gonna swoop in and take your spot.
Yeah.
There's so many things I'm looking forward to, but the competition I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's, to your point, as you look at the league, you look at the teams. There's not a huge gap disparity between, on paper right now, week 1. We'll see if that changes, right? But really, you look at these teams; they're fairly well balanced. So to your point, the competitive nature of it, to your point, being on 24 hours a day and making sure that you're not missing a pickup or missing that thing. I think so many. I was talking to Chuck about this. I think some folks idolize their draft picks. I can't let this person go because what if they become this next person? Right. So I think part of that is, to your point, really being the best manager and understanding when it's time and really understanding the game more so than the player.
Like today, I got a quick update that Alex Reyes was named the closer on the St. Louis Cardinals. And I immediately picked him up. I didn't waste any time.
Yeah.
New Joey has Jordan Hicks, and we're all looking for closers, especially on good teams. And St. Louis, is going to be one of those top teams in the NL Central. And if Alex Reyes is going to pick up some saves along with some strikeouts because he's got a gun for an arm, I need to hop on that ASAP. But that's what I'm talking. Those are the little moves that are going to separate you from the pack. So, like you said, you got to be on it at all times.
Yeah, no, for sure. And talking to your squad, you drafted, you went through draft night. How do you feel? 1 to 10, where are you? How do you feel you're prepared going into the beginning, the first quarter of the season?
I'm definitely confident in my squad. There's definitely some areas of improvement. I definitely need to watch out for my pitching squad. Normally I feel very confident about that, but I went in a different direction this year. I focused more offensively. I got my anchor, I got my ace in DeGrom. Of course, I've already made it clear that I really hope I don't regret that. And just simply because I didn't take Trout.
Yeah.
I'm never going to regret taking DeGrom, but I may regret not taking Trout. But I need to make sure that my pitching staff does and holds up their end of the bargain by, giving me at least 3 or 4 categories a week. I do not want to let that area be my downfall. But I really like my offensive squad. I love Rendon and Bogarts. I don't think they're sexy picks, but I love the production that they're going to give me, or that they should give me. And I would love to add another outfielder so I can, say now that I'm going to be looking out on people's squads, looking for another big bat in the outfield. I think my biggest X factor is Nelson Cruz. I never know when Father Time's going to catch up to him. And I just also learned the hard way that, he will not be in the lineup against a National League team. The Twins are facing the Brewers to start their season, so he's not even in their starting lineup.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to be able to really use him until Monday, which kind of sucks because he was I think my 4th pick in the draft. So I put a lot of stock in him. But I'm always confident after the draft, but I know a league is not won after the draft, and but I definitely like the direction I'm heading in after day 1.
Yeah, I think so many people look at that 4th pick. It's such an awkward pick because you start to get that shelf of like the elite to the kind of high range. And 4th pick, you got some guys that trickle into elite that they could be poised in that position, but they can also very easily fall to less than elite, less than high potential. They're the Father Time folks. They're the people. They're the Aaron Judges of the world, right? Where you're like, oh, I'd love to take this person. I think they're in the sweet spot, but what's going to happen? Are they going to perform at that 4 spot? I think that's really because once you hit 5 to 15, that's the meat of the draft. 1 to 4
right.
is your money picks, right? That's the people you can't really reach on.
Right. If, assuming everyone stays healthy, your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd picks, those guys are your anchors. Those are the guys you're unlikely to trade throughout the year unless you're just getting something that you can't turn down. I'd say 4 through 6, those are your X factors. Those are the guys that could really make or break your squad, because if they really perform and or outperform the expectations, your team's on a whole other level. And I know, Vin, you and I spoke a lot at length during the draft, the rounds 7 through 15, like you were just mentioning. That's when you really have to know your baseball. You can't just be picking guys just to pick guys. You got to know what you're doing. So, but I hope Cruz can pan out well. And if not, I'll be a shark and I'll be proposing trades left and right. I'll be doing whatever I need to do to stay in the top 6.
Yeah, as you think about and you talk about trades, right? So, everybody has, I think, their own methodology around this and how they think about, positioning themselves. So for you, as you think about building your team, when is it the right time? Is there ever a right time? Is there an indicator for you saying, okay, I've got to go out and do this? Is it desperation? Is it proactivity? Like for you, what does that look like in your head as a manager?
I think that's a great question. I think that there is always a good time to make a trade. I don't think there's a need to necessarily wait. If I proposed 2 trades before today that didn't work out. Thankfully, I got some good feedback that weren't considered bullshit trades. But no, I feel like if I can make my squad better on April 1st, why wait? Why do I need to wait until Memorial Day weekend to see how good my team is? If I can make my team better today, I don't think I need to wait until, a certain point. But to answer your question, I don't believe in panicking after the month of April. It's 1 month. Teams are still working out the kinks, especially after a COVID year. Some guys opted out and are coming back. There's fans in the stands. There's different X factors that go into the season when you have it, a normal 162 game season. So, no, I don't look to panic right away, but if I'm approaching June and my team is under 500, I need to make a decision. I need to have like a closed door meeting with my management, with my team, and begin to pull the trigger. Because if I'm struggling going into June and I don't make a move, then you're destined for a spot out of the playoffs.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I love the idea of it's never too early, right? I think at the end of the day, you know what you've got, and guys are going to perform, and they're worth something today. They could be worth more tomorrow. They could be worth way less tomorrow. So at the end of the day, you're positioning yourself and using the tools that you have. It's basically a monetized person, right? You're deciding to use the value of what it's worth today. Right. So I couldn't agree with you more on kind of your philosophy there. And I guess, as I look at, or as you look at your squad, who are you most excited about outside? Let's say outside of the top 10. Who's someone that you're excited about?
Who I'm most excited about? I'll give you two answers. So first answer is Dylan Moore. The second answer is Ryan Mountcastle.
Okay.
Dylan Moore is a utility player on the Seattle Mariners. He is one of those young up-and-coming studs that has gotten a lot of hype. And I'm hopeful that he will be part of that mix in Seattle and just continue to raise his game. And Ryan Mountcastle, same deal, young first baseman / outfielder on the Baltimore Orioles. He's got a lot of pop. He showed a lot of pop during the spring. Camden Yards is very hitter-friendly. And I'm hopeful that Baltimore will continue to take the right steps forward. And you need these sleeper picks to pan out. If Moore and Mountcastle don't pan out, that's two guys that I need to replace on my team. And every bat counts. So I'm really hopeful that the two of them are going to shine. I was kind of hopeful to see Mountcastle against the Sox earlier today, but I'll have to wait for tomorrow. I know Dylan Moore is going against the San Fran Giants tonight, so that should be a fun matchup. But I think those two young guys need to really step it up, especially for a team that is kind of lacking outfielders. So it'd be great if those guys could really step up in a big way.
Yeah, no, for sure. And last question on the team: Ohtani, Syndergaard, IL. Feeling optimistic there, and Ohtani, do you think this is going to be the year he puts it all together?
Yeah, I'm feeling very optimistic, and there's no reason not to. I think the shackles need to be released. I think the Angels need to let him play. For him, the innings pitch limit or not getting him enough reps at the plate, I think that needs to go. I think the Angels will only be as successful as they allow him to be in a way. Like, he's a big part of that lineup. He's a big part of that rotation. I can't name an Angels pitcher past Dylan Bundy. So I got to believe his arm is important.
That's right.
In that lineup, he's going to be batting second in front of Trout. So he's really going to be helping Trout in regards to setting the table and giving Trout and Upton and Pujols and all the other guys opportunities for RBI. So, yeah, I think he's critical in that lineup. But since I have him part of my staff, I'm hopeful that he can shine and be a solid starting two pitcher for me.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be an ace, but if he can rope me in 12 to 15 wins, and that's a stretch, but I'll take 12, 13 wins. I'll be thrilled.
I mean, you're also talking to a guy who throws high 90s with a nasty curveball, right? Like, the pieces are there. It's just your point, right? I think you put it in the best way. The shackles of this idea that a player has to be treated X, Y, and Z, right? When they're a hitter, when they're a pitcher, and when this multi-dimensional player, he's being treated like this anomaly versus letting him do what he's really good at. So I couldn't agree with you more about like just letting him play. I get the idea of fatigue and like him running out of steam, but it's probably what's been holding him back when you think about that. On the hitting side, I love the stolen base potential for Ohtani. I think he's sneaky at swiping bags, and that's something you don't see. But for you on the pitching side, you got to hope for, to your point, 150 Ks. 10, 12 wins. Like that's a big win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quality starts.
And hopefully it'll pan out.
Yeah. All right. Last few. So you've got, and diving in deep for those that don't know, you've got the ear of the media. I think you've kind of worked with the media. You've been close there. And what inception of the media, like how you've gotten, how you've kind of worked through that, like, how you think about those week over week, what's the thought process of your creative sense when you think about working with the media?
The media is very calculated. I think they know exactly what they're doing heading into the week, but I think that they really just want to add entertainment value. They have the utmost respect for all the managers in the league, but if you do not perform, you are susceptible to being called out. And it's all in good fun. It's not meant to hurt anybody's feelings. You can't misunderstand the tone because you're reading it. You're not hearing someone say it. But you have to know that there's someone just smiling and enjoying everything on the other side of things. What I really like is that there's not biased behavior towards Wright Stuff. I believe Wright Stuff was number 11 in the power rankings to start the season. It's not like they were just in the top 6 or the top 3. And you can't get lost in the sauce with the numbers of where your team is ranked. Mm-hmm. How good your team is. You know the kind of manager you are. I had a great conversation with the media because I know your team got placed in 7th during this previous rankings. Yeah. And we all know that, like, Vin, your team doesn't belong in number 7, but some other teams just need that boost, that confidence to kind of go into the season thinking that they have all the tools, and they should. Yeah. Everyone should head into the season feeling good. That's right. No matter your spot in the rankings. But I do believe that the rankings are fairly accurate. I think it does paint a solid picture of where everyone stands. Frank was in number 2. He drafted really well, and he deserved that praise. Yeah. Joey deserves that number 1 spot until he loses. But guys like the Whitmer twins, Nick and Max, they have a lot of expectations. Guys like Harry and Dan Reinhardt, who had big regular seasons and haven't done much since. Those guys need to step up. We always call out Austin as the feel-good team. He needs to take his team to the next level. And then, of course, there's teams like you and Chuck. Can they be knocked off the throne? And you guys got big targets on your back. Wright Stuff had a horrible 2018. He collapsed in a bad way, or rather 2019, excuse me. And then in 2020, obviously, he didn't show up. So, there's pressure on everybody. You gotta put up or shut up. And if your team is not going to perform, especially if you're one of the elite teams, you will get called out in the media's ranking report. But it's all in good fun. It's meant to just provide entertainment. It's providing just things to something to talk about, competitive fire. But it's a big key to this league.
It is, and I think to your point, I'm so every week that I read, right, it's not just that it's entertaining, it's that it's, to your point, accurate, statistically driven, and it has a lot of basis in potential versus actual. I think there's a lot of time put into that. So as I look at this, right, podcasting, what we're doing, having these conversations, they're on the spot, they're on the cuff, we're talking about stuff, right? You've consulted with the media. How long does it take the media to do something like that? Because it's a labor of love. That's definitely something that I can imagine that the media writers that are out there are spending a good amount of time on. So I just want to give kind of attention to the labor of creativity that goes into these kind of things.
It definitely takes a little bit of time. It's not something that's done in one shot. I can say that the media spent, most of the day on, I believe it was Sunday, writing or finalizing the rankings after the draft. I know the media feels they have a big responsibility. We want to make sure we're providing the best material for the league. We want to make sure that when they're reading it, they're learning, they're intrigued, and they're also agreeing and disagreeing with what's being said, and they're using that, as fuel to better themselves the following week. We want people to disagree with the media. That's the point. We want the teams that are in the bottom 6 to feel pissed off and to spark a fire under their ass and perform at a higher level the following week. But the media, I know, takes their time. They want to make sure they're providing the best material for the league. So it's not done in one day. It's definitely takes some time, some hours, but it's worth it. And I know the media would be doing this league a disservice if they rush to that type of those types of rankings.
Listen, our hat always goes off to the media as I think the main pillar of, I think, weekly insights. When we talk and we have conversations, we do podcasts, right? These are ways for us to keep the conversation alive, but they don't, I don't think they ever are the pillar that is the standing, I think, North Star that kind of guides where we go. So we appreciate the media. And I think everyone in this league waits. And I think there are some weeks where the media takes an extra day, and I think everybody sits on the toilet on Mondays and go, oh man, if only I had a media article. So we know and we appreciate that. So for all those listening, know that it's not a 5-minute ordeal. It takes time and effort and all that. And it takes a very creative and well-rounded baseball mind to do that. So we really appreciate all that the media has done for the league.
Absolutely. I'm sure they would appreciate that. And they're not in it for the accolades. They're in it to just better the league.
That's right.
I think I could speak for the media that if anyone ever wanted to do some sort of collaboration, I think they'd be happy to do that from time to time. It doesn't need to be the same thing each week. With the same type of lingo, they're happy to do something with any manager. Vin, obviously, media totally respects your podcast, your ability to provide entertainment and value to the league. And I'm sure a media podcast with Vin and with Frank, if he wants to join, I'm sure that could get done whenever you want.
Does the media have a different look and feel like when he gets on camera? Or is the media, is it like anonymous, like the mask goes on? Like, is there a different persona behind the media? Have you ever met the media?
I don't know. The media is a little salty with me right now. The media did not appreciate Wright Stuff taking a year off. They were kind of lost. They didn't really know what to do with their time. They're feeling a little left out. So I'm not sure what the media is like, when we see him or her in person.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be an intriguing conversation when the time comes.
It definitely will. And I think, couldn't be more excited. I think when I look at last year, and I'm being honest, right, some of the things that I personally as a manager look forward to is what you bring to the table, the intensity you bring, the focus you bring, the dedication that you bring, which is, I think, par and second to none as we look at the league. So, I'm looking forward to an amazing 2021. I think there's so much to look forward to. I think your team is primed and ready to go. It looks like you feel really good. You got your ace in the hole and you've got your power offense, which is, I was surprised at the different look versus the power pitching that you and I typically do. And we both went in a different direction. So we'll see if that will pay its dividends over the course of 26 or so weeks. But Dan, Wright Stuff, always just a pleasure and an honor to have you and to chat with you and to talk to you about baseball. There are going to be ample podcasts. We're doing this every week on Thursdays. We're starting with kind of coaches' corners and getting to know all the managers and spending time, but know that the dialogue around baseball would not be out of Big Frank's League of Men without your voice in it. So we are looking forward to having you back here and to keeping this party going.
Well, I appreciate the time. Happy to talk about the league. Happy to talk to you about any baseball topic, any fancy baseball topic that comes to mind. Vin, you do such a great job steering this ship for us. I'm glad that you're our leader, our commissioner. This league would not be able to stand on its 2 feet without you. So, I appreciate all the hard work and time that you give to this league. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in the regular season and renewing our rivalry.
Looking forward to it, brother. So for everyone in the league, watch your backs. Dan Jarman, Wright Stuff, he's back. He's ready to kick your ass, and we're going to have a great season. So thanks, Dan Jarman. Everybody, we will catch up with you later in the week. Big Frank's League of Men, signing off.